Hi, I'm Evan Sinclair.
I'm Ryan Sinclair.
And we're about to watch a 4-hour superhero movie.
Woo! In a universe we don't particularly care about.
Not at all.
Well, let's get right into it.
You know, that was a much easier 4-hour watch than I anticipated it being.
Yeah. When we recorded the intro, I thought that this was going to end up being a gag where we're just absolutely dead by the end.
For the record, I have seen the original cut of Justice League and Ryan hasn't.
Nope.
I hated that movie. I think I gave it 2 out of 10 when I scored it on my own little system. But this was actually a huge improvement, and I'm feeling closer to a 6 or a 7, I guess.
If you had to put a number on it, I'd say it's definitely reaching that above average.
Yeah.
Especially for the DC movies. I definitely think that this stood out as a much more cohesive project than the previous DC movies.
If someone said you have to watch Justice League, the original cut, or Zack Snyder's Justice League, I think even with length in mind, I'd always pick Zack Snyder's version just because I enjoyed it. The other cut to me was 2 hours and felt like 3 hours. This one was 4 hours and felt like 3 hours. And that's a huge difference, you know?
True. Could have felt like a 2-hour movie if they cut out the right stuff.
I think it could have been trimmed down. I guess I'm still a little just stunned that I was like, that wasn't a bad 4-hour watch. I really thought I would be exhausted by now.
Although it does have to be said that the 4-hour cut was necessitated by a lack of original movies for Flash and Cyborg.
Yeah, and I don't think that's Zack Snyder's fault, though.
He did a great job patching
what
that
he
together.
had.
Although I will say that is an issue I had. I feel like it was a little heavy-handed on Cyborg's origin story. Flash they gave him some good stuff. Him working out jobs, showing that his motivation to help his dad out. But that was kind of all we got. And I didn't really know how much I liked that. Because, Cyborg was a much more serious and emotionally, deep character than Barry was. But at the same time, just because he's the comic relief character doesn't mean you can't flesh it out a little bit more, especially if you're doing a 4-hour movie.
How did you feel about the 4:3 aspect ratio? I did not know that was going to be a thing until the opening title card.
I thought it was fine. It didn't bother me, I gotta say.
Yeah, it didn't bother me, but it felt very unnecessary to me. I feel like these movies are big, and you want to see it in a big aspect ratio. I wasn't quite sure what the motivation behind that decision was.
I think you'd have to ask Snyder.
Yeah, I could imagine it had something to do with maybe being closer to a comic book panel, but...
Yeah, and I remember you were mentioning the comic book panel thing as well with the slow-mo, right? Yeah,
so it's Zack Snyder. There's a lot of slow motion cuts and shots in this movie, but it was pretty excessive in this one. It's always excessive with him, but I wonder if he's doing this so much to try to capture looking at a comic book panel for a while. And I think if that was his motivation, it worked at times, but it felt fairly excessive to the point where it did show up. I was just always like, okay, it's another slow-mo shot. But I do have to say, it worked very well with all the stuff with the Flash.
Yeah, I thought that the Flash fighting Superman was great.
No, that was awesome.
There was a great moment when you realize, oh no, Superman is on Flash's level almost here with the speed. And that definitely utilized slow-mo very well when they were fighting amongst each other while everybody else was still falling midair and everything. That was very cool. But I really just think it's ridiculous to have a slow-mo thing in every scene when the movie is 4 hours long. Maybe not every scene, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, it is a lot.
You're already excessive here with the 4-hour time, runtime. But why do you have to, give us these, 5 to 10 second bits in so many scenes when it's that long already?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the one that really stood out to me as excessive was the football match. With Cyborg. Yeah. I was just that whole scene. I was like, you could have conveyed his emotional attachment to football in such a more concise way than
we got to do 2 minutes
snow
of him
shot. Yeah,
running toward the end line.
Yeah, and it was this doesn't why why?
Yeah, and even so, the main draw from that scene was talking about his relationship with his father, and that bit was condensed to like a couple seconds at the end of the scene. It felt a little silly to me. It's fun to have slow-mo every now and then, but it just, when you're making a movie that is gonna be as long as this one is, you gotta cut back. Some of those shots would have still been awesome in real time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I totally agree. Oh yeah, something else that was with this new cut. It's rated R, and you could definitely see the moments of why it technically had to be an R.
Yeah, someone's arm got ripped off. Somebody was smashed against a wall, and there was a bunch of blood.
Yeah,
and,
that's
really it, though, right?
No, see, that was the thing, was when I was watching those, I was like, I feel like you could push that into a PG-13 movie. But the parts that made me go, oh, I wonder if this is why, is when all the disintegration scenes, you kind of saw more gory stuff and like, and I was wondering if that was the reason why, or if maybe they wanted to use that R rating as kind of like a selling point to be like, also, hey.
I think they said fuck twice.
Whoa. Yeah, we can't let the 13-year-old see that. You got to be at least 17 to hear that word twice.
Something I want to talk about. I don't think Steppenwolf is cool.
Nah, he seemed pretty one-dimensional, just like, I am bad.
Yeah.
And kind of a bitch boy.
It just, to me, it felt too
Please,
similar.
Papa Darkseid, respect me.
Yeah. It just felt too similar to Thanos. It's just a bland, strong guy using a melee weapon who wants to collect these artifacts that will give him power to do something. And we've seen that. I don't care about that. He looked good. I think the CGI was really nice. But
I liked his suit a lot.
Yeah, the suit with all the moving parts and spiky bits, very cool. But as a character himself, he was just so dumb. I mean, I know that he's like a big, bad, evil guy, hell-bent on destruction, but I mean, maybe at least give him a little bit of doubt or something. This person that I'm trying to, impress and redeem myself in their eyes, maybe explore that at least a little bit more than we got like one or two scenes.
Yeah, it was it was also pretty straightforward, like, yep, whatever you want.
I will do this for you. I will be bad guy for you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I agree. He wasn't great. He also wasn't great in the original cut either, though. He was better in this one.
And not to say that Thanos is the be all end all of antagonists in superhero stuff, but at least there was a moral conversation, motivations that was beyond I'm going to conquer the universe and I'm going to do it for big bad reasons and big bad ulterior motives. It just felt silly to me.
Something that you brought up to me that I brought up in one scene, then you brought up as a more overall criticism, was that the soundtrack was pretty disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it was all of the moment. I didn't mind that. I didn't mind that so much the scenes with the and Snyder has done this before, the scenes where it was like songs with vocals and slow motion. You're supposed to be feeling emotional. Specifically the one for me with Flash saving that girl. I thought that song it made it so corny, and I don't know what they were thinking with that scene. The scene itself was actually pretty cool.
The introduction scene to Flash was definitely good, I thought. You're right, I didn't like the music choice, but, him getting a normal job, doing dog walking and stuff, but then saving people on the side and, sort of being, kind of flirty, kind of funny. It was a fun setup. Yeah. It was definitely good. I liked the Flash in general in this movie, but, it brings back to he should have had his own movie for that.
Yeah, no, he definitely should have. And that's where I think this was just a Warner Brothers decision that messed up. They were trying to catch up to Marvel. Yeah. You can't just catch up.
Aquaman. Aquaman was useless in this movie.
He didn't really do much. No.
Yeah, that's something I need to mention. He does use his little, trident wave a few times, but overall, like, you could have taken him out of this movie and it wouldn't have.
They probably could have written around it. Yeah. No, that is true. I
mean, other than Atlantis being a holding place for one of the mother cubes, it really just is kind of like you're just here as a muscle guy.
Yeah. Well, they were so far removed from water most of the time that it was.
And that's what I was thinking. Like, at least put the reactor base that Steppenwolf is based out of, like, next to the ocean or something, have some sort. Could you imagine how cool that would be if part of taking down that barrier around Steppenwolf's place was like conjuring a humongous wave or something.
That would have been really cool.
Like, there's a lot of potential for Aquaman to be used in cool ways. He didn't talk to any fish or even anything in this movie.
Something that, going back to the R rating conversation very quickly, just kind of felt like it was living in this world between PG-13 and R where you could see moments where it was like, I want to be this gritty movie, and then so many PG-13 moments just pulling it back from that world. You have to pick a lane. You can't have those Marvel quips and this trying to be gritty world at the same time. It's a tone clash that did not work for me.
That's the whole thing with these DC movies, is they are going for a much darker, grittier angle.
Yeah, and they're just not, they haven't taken advantage of it to the extent that they need to. And that's a criticism of all of them, not just this one.
Yeah, no, I agree. It definitely feels like, given the tone and atmosphere that they've presented, they could have pushed the boundaries a little bit more than they did.
They should have pushed the boundaries a little bit more. That could have been their market. But yeah, I overall am really shocked at I wouldn't watch this movie again, would you?
No way.
Yeah, I wouldn't either, but I was shocked at, like, I think we both had a really fun time watching it.
Yeah.
And coming from, like, literally giving the original one a 2 out of 10 to all of a sudden saying, wow, this was a good movie is pretty damn shocking, and a really cool experiment in filmmaking as well.
Yeah, all in all, pleasantly surprised. You know, I think anybody with any tolerance for the DC movies so far would get something out of this.
Yeah, I wouldn't, if you haven't seen the DC movies yet, I wouldn't recommend go watching them all just to catch up for this. Yeah. But if you enjoy them, you're going to have a good time. Well, hey, thanks for watching this review, everybody. We had a lot of fun making it, and we would love to hear what you thought of the movie in the comments if you've gotten around to seeing it.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of opinions to be had about something as contentious as this might be. So yeah, just let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. But until then, we'll see you on the next review.
All right, have a good one, everybody.
See you guys. Boom.